Hello friends, this is Ryan from Behind Eyes Gaming, and today I'm going to be talking about a Righteous Fire Elementalist and how you can level it starting from a very early stage around early Act 4. And you can level as Righteous Fire basically from early Act 4 all the way through the rest of the game. This is made possible because of the buffs to the Golem passives or ascendancy notables, so we are able to get that going very early on, and you need very few items. So first I'm going to talk about leveling, and then I'm going to talk about why you would want to be a Righteous Fire Elementalist, like what it brings to the table as compared to other things. So as far as the gear, it's very simple. All you really need is a Spring Leaf, which you can start using at level 7. Probably won't use it all the way through up until Act 4, but you could do. And then a Shaper's Seed. And also, as an option, you can use a Clay Shaper as well at level 41. So that's all the gear that's required. And outside the golems themselves, and then Righteous Fire, which you'll initially link with Efficacy, Elemental Focus, and Burning Damage, although I'm not sure if Burning Damage actually works. If not, that's fine. You can use a few different things like Empower. You can actually use Arcane Surge, which adds the duration tag to Righteous Fire, allowing you to use Swift Affliction as well as decreased duration, or reduced duration rather, for more damage there as well. So when I put in burning damage support, for some reason it doesn't show up as a DPS increase in Path of Building. Might be a bug because it also doesn't calculate the minion effect in Path of Building. So I'm going to link the Path of Building in the description below, but keep in mind that the actual regen numbers and damage numbers are going to be much higher because it doesn't properly convey the minion golem effect from having multiple golems for some reason. So other than that, you'll need Purity of Fire and Clarity. Reason you're going to be using Clarity is simply because we will be taking the Mind over Matter node. I just realized I don't need Deep Thoughts anymore, but we'll also be taking Deep Thoughts. So this is what the skill tree looks like. And the important thing for leveling as Righteous Fire is that by the time you hit Act 4, you're going to want Golem Commander, and you'll also want to get your first Ascendancy, Liege of the Primordial, which gives you summon golems that are immune to elemental damage. That means they're just flat out not going to take damage from a lot of sources, especially AoE sources. Just have to worry about physical damage sources. 20% increased damage per summoned golem. That's just a flat out damage increase per summoned golem. Currently running 5. 25% increased effective buffs granted by your golems per summoned golem. So by the time you hit the Clay Shaper and have 4 golems, that'll be 100% increased buff effect of all of them. It'll be 75% when you first get it, along with the total of 70% you get from the Golem Commander nodes, 20, 20, and 30%. So 145%, pretty big. And then +1 to maximum number of golems. So I just want to show you how powerful the golems are currently. I'm going to pull up my defenses here. You can see I have 453 life regen, and if I turn on Righteous Fire, I am degenning pretty rapidly. Now, I put on my Stone Golem. All of a sudden, I'm up to 662. That's pretty good. Damage reduction goes from 13% to 23% when I pull up my Chaos Golem. I then pull up Lightning Golem, which helps me shield charge faster and also cast my curses faster. And all of a sudden, you can see I'm actually regenning with 757 and 25%. And then I'll pull up my Ice Golem. Doesn't really accomplish anything, but it gives us more stats. 805, regenning very rapidly, and 27% physical damage reduction. And then we go up to 29% when I pull up my Flame Golem, and 852. So it almost doubles our life regen having the 5 golems. It's very powerful. Currently, I have a couple of interesting gear choices as well. I am using Rise of the Phoenix. Can't use that until level 65. You can actually use Spring Leaf and Shaper's Seed all the way up until that point. Once you have Rise of the Phoenix, you'll no longer need regen. You'll notice I get a lot less regen than your average Righteous Fire build because we simply don't need it as much. I still have Quick Recovery, Sanctity, Shaper. I do get the combat stamina and the ones leading up to it. We get some regen from Arsonist, and lastly, Warrior's Blood. So normally you would get more regeneration nodes than that. And I also get some regen from Righteous Army and may pick some up for Sacrifice because, well, currently I have kind of unleveled or lower level golems. I like to naturally level them rather than buy them. They are fairly cheap. You can get level 21 golems for like 5 chaos each. So you can pick up for 25 chaos level 21 versions. They'll have a lot more survivability and also benefit you greater. And I would recommend doing that if you're actually making this build. I just like to have a more natural progression. So other than that, the things of note I'm using Shield Charge with faster attacks of Fortify. I have my golems. I also use Flame Dash to get over terrain that Shield Charge can't pass. And the one thing I'm not doing at the moment just yet is getting Elemental Overload. I was kind of deciding I'm going to have less slots because I'm going to be getting a helmet with increased burning damage, and it'll be an Elder helmet, and it'll be a 5 or a 6 link probably, so that I can put my Righteous Fire in there so I can get a Calm's Heart. That is pretty much my plan for that. And while leveling, you'll also have issues with your golems surviving. You may want to take Sacrifice. What I did is I used Primordial Harmony. These are very expensive. I just happen to have 2 of them in order to gain that survivability. And the Shaper's Seed will actually give your minions 2% regen as well. So that's pretty nice. Eventually, you're also going to get Righteous Army for the additional life and life regen because you're going to want to get Spiritual Aid as well to get a bunch of increased damage on top of that. So the main reason, that's pretty much it for the leveling. The main reason you want to, and of course you would get Golemancer second. The main reason you would want to use Elementalist is partially because you're going to get a large amount of buffs. As you can see, Golemancer also gives you 25% increased buff effect for each golem. So that means between the 2 of them, you're each getting 125% when you have 5 golems. Or if you're just going to run 4, don't want to run a Clay Shaper, that's still 100%. But for this purpose, we'll say 125%. And that means a total of 250% from that, and then 70% from the Golem Commander node cluster for a massive 320% Golem buff. That means when I look here, Golem grants 19% increased damage. We are going to be getting something along the lines of basically quadruple that in total. So over 80% damage, over quadruple this as well. So basically close to 20% physical damage reduction, as I showed you earlier. 9%. So we're looking at a solid like 40-some% attack and cast speed, which is great for shield charging around. And then regen, 95%. So about 400, a little bit over 400 flat life regen. And that's with golems that aren't fully leveled yet. Once we get the higher versions of these, this is going to be substantially better. And if we decide to get an Anima Stone, we can just get this jewel socket here. Since we already have 2 primordials, get another golem. That'll increase even more. Probably use a carrying golem, I suppose. I think that's the last one, so I'll literally be using all the golems at that point. And yeah, I think that would be quite powerful. Another main reason is because you have 35% chance to avoid elemental ailments per summoned golem. And that means you're immune to shock, freeze, chill, and ignite. This is huge. One of the main reasons you die in this game is you're frozen in a huge pack, or you get shocked and take a big hit. You can't be shocked, so you're not going to take that big, massive hit, and it's going to reduce the chance of you dying. Also, we're using Paragon of Calamity. For each element you've been hit by, damage of recently, 40% increased damage of that element. For each element you've been hit by damage of recently, 8% reduced damage taken of that element. Now, the reason this is important is because we are going to use the helm, the crafting bench helm, of 5% physical damage from hits taken as fire damage. You can actually get it up to 7 to 8%, so you can have up to 8%. We have 84. It's going to be either 85 or 86 at some point fire resistance. So that gives us an even larger amount of physical mitigation. But more importantly, it means we're constantly taking fire damage, which increases our fire damage by 40%. And reduces the amount we're taking by 8%, which reduces the degen of our Righteous Fire, which basically supercharges our regen, because that's by a fairly significant percent. So all of a sudden, we're just regenning much, much faster, and that is incredible. And the last node we're going to get, Pendulum of Destruction, is not at all wasted, because we benefit both from the area of effect and the elemental damage. So going to be a very, very substantial increase to our damage and our AoE clear. So we will have that going, because Shaper of Desolation is going to do nothing for us at all. Another interesting piece of gear I'm using is Southbound. Two reasons I'm using this. First of all, we have Elemental Equilibrium. This allows us to use the flat cold damage from the Southbound to inflict cold damage onto our enemies, which will reduce, it'll give them plus 25% cold resist, but minus 50% fire and lightning resist. Don't really do any lightning damage, but we do all fire damage with Righteous Fire. So we're going to be reducing their resistance constantly, and then further reducing their resistance to 42% from the fire flammability, fire curse. So that's extremely, extremely powerful. The reason we path around here, by the way, and not through the spell damage or cast speed, is because neither of those things really benefit us. We get plenty of cast speed from our golem, so that's not really a big deal. It looks weird to path around the side this way, but it's less nodes to get to the effective nodes. Also, our tree looks a little difficult, but we need to path through where we can get agility and expertise, because we absolutely need dexterity. And also, combining these doesn't really make any sense, since we have to go around this way anyway. And the same thing here. We could path through these, but we need to go around to get this dexterity and also explosive impact anyway. So I looked around. You can let me know if you think there's a more efficient way you can path this, but I think I need all of the nodes that I path through, so I couldn't really find a more efficient way. And the AoE we get is just Amplify and Explosive Impact. You want to make sure you don't have your energy shield too high while you're leveling, because it'll degen you faster. So yeah, we'll be leveling with Mind Over Matter. I'm actually going to spec out of Deep Thoughts, since I don't actually need that at all, and just put it into more life. So I'll probably have like, I can just do that now. I'll have a little bit more life. But yeah, for the future, I plan on upgrading this build quite a bit. I hope you enjoyed it. It's more than possible to level with this. It's very, very fun. It's fairly high damage. It's not insane damage, and it's not the best for Blight, but it is very fun. And I would recommend it if you want to try a Righteous Fire build, but you're tired of playing a Juggernaut or some sort of a Chieftain or something like that. This is a good option. Hope you enjoyed the video. This has been Ryan from Behind Eyes Gaming, and I will see you next time. Bye!